Laser sights will make you a more accurate and confident shooter by providing visual feedback on sight alignment and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
#1 national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. Gun Talk, available on iTunes and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for Android and iPhone. To be on the air with Tom, call us now, 866-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
All right, back with you. Glad that you could be with us. I'm Tom Gresham. It is, in fact, Gun Talk. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. It is a pleasure to welcome the fellow who's been in the fight for many, many years, a co-author of a new book titled Shall Not Be Infringed, The New Assaults on Your Second Amendment. David Keene is the current opinion editor of the Washington Times, a former president of the National Rifle Association. He served as the elected chairman of the American Conservative Union, the nation's oldest and largest grassroots conservative advocacy group. It goes on and on and on. He lives in Maryland, but David, I have it on good authority that you'd rather be in Montana.
I sure would. Wouldn't anyone? It's a real pleasure to be with
kidding.
You. Not only is
I'm so glad.
Only is Montana not Maryland, it also doesn't have Maryland's gun laws.
Well, exactly right. So I know you're flitting back and forth, but I'm thinking Montana's got to be pulling pretty hard on you there.
Oh, it sure does. It pulls hard on anyone who's ever been there. And so I'm originally a Wisconsin boy and moved east because I was involved in politics and policy. But
right.
At this point, the West is pulling me very hard.
All right, so you and Tom Mason, and we've had Tom on the show before talking about all of the stuff with the UN International. You guys have co-authored this book, Shall Not Be Infringed, The New Assaults on Your Second Amendment. Emphasis here on new. One of the things I keep trying to do, and I'm sure that you do the same thing, is remind people, look, this stuff has been going on a long time, and there seemed to always be a new avenue of assault on the Second Amendment.
That's exactly right. You know, true believers and the anti-gun movement has become something of a religion. It's one of the reasons why arguments about facts, science, and evidence doesn't have much impact on these folks. They just continue because they're sort of the domestic analog of the people who believe the world would be a wonderful place if the United States simply unilaterally disarmed. They feel the same way about civil society. The problem isn't the criminal, the problem is the gun, and therefore if we all just got rid of our guns, the bad guys wouldn't exist anymore because they're not really bad. Those kinds of folks don't give up because they lose in one forum. You remember, Tom, and I'm sure your listeners realize this, the first wave of gun reform came about during Reconstruction. It was one thing back in the 1860s to free the slaves. It was another thing to let them have guns to defend themselves. That's where the stuff began. Then in the 60s, in the 30s, as a result of a reaction to Al Capone and the boys, there was a wave of gun restrictions. Then in the 60s, because of the unrest and the spike in crime, it occurred again. Since then, there's been attempts on the part of these folks to go after firearms in the courts, in the legislatures, in the Congress, and by executive fiat and regulation. When those things failed, they began some years ago to begin looking for international fora in which they could advance their agenda, and by using the treaty power, perhaps get in the United States the kinds of restrictions that they haven't been able to get in our courts or through our legislature. That's what the UN trade treaty is all about. So these are not people who give up. This is not a war that can be won. It's a series of battles that have to be fought, and it really does require eternal vigilance on the part of believers in the Second Amendment if they're to retain the freedoms that have been passed down to us.
Okay, so where are we now with the international treaties? The idea is to get this passed on an international level, things that they couldn't have restrictions passed in the U.S., and then somehow have that imposed on the U.S. through a treaty process? I know that's the plan, but where are we with that?
Well, it's stalled right now. The United States did, in fact, sign what's called the Arms Trade Treaty, passed through the UN. And it does, and it became clear during the negotiations and since that really what it was about was to go after civilian firearms, 80 to 85% of which are in the United States.
Okay.
The rhetoric involved military and guerrilla firearms and all of the like, tanks and things of that sort. But when the NRA and the U.S. during the Bush administration took the position that the U.S. would not participate in the negotiations or sign any treaty that could conceivably interfere with domestic constitutionally guaranteed rights in this country, the UN absolutely refused to rule those kinds of restrictions out. When Mr. Obama became president and sent Mrs. Clinton to the State Department, the United States reversed the position that had been taken during the Bush administration, a red line that had been articulated by John Bolton on behalf of President Bush, that we wouldn't accept that kind of a treaty.
When Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State under Barack Obama, they changed the U.S.'s position on this UN treaty and said, we're now okay with the U.S. accepting, in essence, the United Nations controlling our gun laws.
They did two things initially. First, they said, we're removing the red line. We will participate in it regardless of the Second Amendment in the United States. And then secondly, and traditionally, the power that we've had in the negotiating of these international treaties is that the UN adopts things by what they call consensus. So if there's a strong objection, the negotiations go on forever. At the last minute, the Obama administration, through Mrs. Clinton, removed the insistence on consensus and said we would join in even if no consensus was developed. So the treaty was passed. Mrs. Clinton at that point had left the government. Secretary Kerry signed it. And at the time, the Prime Minister of Canada refused to sign it on the grounds that it would interfere with the individual rights of Canadians to own guns. So it was not just the United States that felt that way. Now, that's what's happened. Where that stands is this. Like the old Kyoto Treaty, remember the global warming treaty years ago, they have not sent it to the Senate because 59 senators had signed a letter saying, don't even bother because we're not going to ratify this thing. The problem, Tom, is that under international law, once you've joined in a treaty, even if it's not ratified, if it's not finally adopted by your country, you're required, as they say, not to act in a way contrary to its requirements. So it can be used by a president, as Mr. Obama and Mr. Clinton used the unsigned or the unratified Kyoto Treaty to justify some of their efforts against, quote, global warming, unquote. That's what's liable to happen in the future. But the fact is that the Senate, unless it changes radically, and that could conceivably happen if there's a blowout in the November election, unless it changes radically, is not going to ratify it. And unless it changes radically, and unless the House changes, the funds to implement some of the conditions that the UN might want to put on gun ownership in this country, for example, the building of a federal registry and all of the things that the Obama administration wants, those funds won't be available because they can be stopped or denied any administration through the appropriations process.
Would it be fair, and you have watched this for decades, would it be fair to say that Hillary Clinton, as president, would be more anti-gun rights than either Barack Obama or her husband, Bill Clinton?
Well, she would certainly, we can't delve into their hearts because they were all anti-gun in that sense, but she would be in a position to accomplish more in terms of restricting or indeed abolishing American gun rights than either her husband or Barack Obama. In his first term, of course, Mr. Obama resisted going after firearms for the simple reason that he was busy taking over the healthcare system.
Right.
And then in his second term tried and failed because of the makeup of the Congress. This time, Mrs. Clinton has said that she not only wants to continue his drive to further restrict firearms ownership, but she has the opportunity to change the makeup of the federal court system through the appointment not just of the Supreme Court justice or more that could alter the balance of the court on these questions, but the lower level judges that make the decisions all across the country on these kinds of questions. So whether or not she dislikes firearms ownership more than Mr. Obama or her husband is less relevant than the fact that she is on the verge of being in a position where she can do things that they only dreamed of.
Wow, amazing. The book is titled Shall Not Be Infringed, The New Assaults on Your Second Amendment by David Keene and Thomas Mason. David, I assume this is for sale Amazon and other places?
You sure can. It should be in the bookstores within a few days, and it's been available on Amazon now for a week or so. And I tell folks, that this year what you got to do is you got to vote, you got to buy our book.
I got to vote, got to buy the book. Titled Shall Not Be Infringed. David Keene, thank you so much. Thank you for what you do at the Washington Times. Thank you for what you've done at the NRA. Thank you for all of your activism over decades. I really appreciate it.
So it's been a pleasure to be with you.
All right, you take care. All right, open lines for you, 866-TALK-GUN. I got to go do some shooting. I got to go do a little hunting. Got to take one of my dad's guns. Do you have a dad gun, a granddad gun? Do you have a family gun that you just like to take out now and then? I would love to hear that story. 866-TALK-GUN.
As we celebrate 2 centuries in Remington country, it's humbling to think about all the ground we've covered. Since the infancy of our nation, we've journeyed with you every step of the way, helping shape the course of American history. Remington country is bigger than a place, and for the 200 years, it's been our highest honor supporting your freedoms and your way of life. To celebrate, Remington is giving away 200 guns. For a chance to win, tell us your story at 200sweepstakes.remington.com.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the Vada Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading, vital gear from Gun Talk. That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
The Black Hills. There's nothing like it on Earth. The kind of place where characters become legends. Wild Bill Hickok, Crazy Horse, Calamity Jane. Pick any part of the world and you'll find people go there to make it their own. But this is where people come to get made. This is the place that made the people who make the best ammo on Earth. Black Hills Ammunition.
Fans of Slip 2000 EWL gun lubricant will want to try EWL 30 this summer. The thicker EWL 30 sits up, migrates less, stays wetter longer, and will not dry out. Perfect for long-term storage. It also holds up better in hotter conditions while still providing the excellent high round count performance you have come to expect from the original EWL. Slip 2000. We're all about gun care. Learn more at slip2000.com.
Want your next gun purchase to be fast and hassle-free? Well, at galleryofguns.com, you can search through thousands of models from our huge firearms inventory. Find a great offer from a local dealer that includes all fees and taxes. And there's no need to arrange a transfer. Gallery of Guns takes a small deposit on your credit card, and your gun will be at your chosen dealer in as little as 48 hours. Plus, your gun will be covered by our guaranteed lifetime replacement warranty. GalleryofGuns.com. Search, find, buy. It really is just that easy.
All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. Okay, well, let's drop down, guys. Grab line 2. I want to take care of Ken in Tulsa pretty quickly because I think we can answer this question. Ken, you asked about the 380 or the 1911. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes. I'm thinking my wife has a Versa 380 Thunder, and she has trouble racking the slide on it. I'm thinking that what you guys were talking about would be much better, but I can't remember the model.
If it's a 1911, we're talking about the Browning Black Label. Browning Black
That's
Label. It's it's kind of like an 80% size 1911. So that's certainly one. There are a couple of others. Ruger has a what do they call that? The LC 380, which is pretty sweet and same kind of a thing. It's bigger than an LCP and easier to work the slide on. But yes, there are some mid-size 380s, and it makes the springs not very strong and really easy for people to rack the slide on.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate the call. Joe's on line 3 out of New Mexico. Hey, Joe, you're on Gun Talk.
Yes. Glad to have you let me on here.
You bet.
What I want to mention is propaganda. Goebbels proved this for Hitler repeatedly. You keep repeating a lie, it becomes truth. Also, he exploited prejudices. Now, I've been on debates. I've had violence against me for having my facts right. I give public talks and been thrown in jail for these. I'm a registered Democrat. I do not own firearms. However, I'm privileged to Democratic propaganda. The only tool, the weapon we have now for ignorance, is our media, through the internet, over the phone, and talking to people everywhere we go. Do not be an introvert, be an extrovert. The meter's running, the hour's drawing near. Trump's dentist knows his shoe size. However, for traction, he did not deny it, he did not lie about it, and he did not pay off the mainstream media. The only way we counter the mainstream media is through our internet, our telephone, and speaking publicly to everybody we can, posting signs, Hillary for prison, Trump for president. Not everybody loves Trump. I don't love Trump, but I damn sure hate Hillary and the administration, the propaganda they put on from everything from banning guns to global warming. My computer crashed.
I get it. Hey, Joe, I'm sorry. I got to jump in here, man. It's not a monologue. It's a discussion. I appreciate your call, and thank you very much. Yeah, we got to get the word out, and you can't be bashful to speak up. Line 1, Andrew is in Indiana. Hey, Andrew, you're on Gun Talk.
Hi. I just wanted to comment, in August when Texas allowed open carry as far as students on college campuses. And, I'm not a liberal whatsoever. I believe in the right of a well-regulated militia. But, you think about a 21-year-old kid with a backpack walking around campus. I know.
Hey, Andrew, back up just a second. You said you believe in the right of a well-regulated militia. What's that mean to you?
Well-regulated militia is a group of the right to protect yourself.
Okay. Individuals.
Yes. I want to know personally from you, where do you draw the line of where a gun should not be allowed? Do you believe it should be allowed anywhere?
Pretty much. I'm sure there are places where it shouldn't. I'm having trouble coming up with it. Certainly colleges do not qualify as a place where you shouldn't have a gun. Why would they? Let me ask you the question. Why would you say you shouldn't have a gun on college campuses when crime happens there just as much as it happens everywhere else?
Because, because it's one place where you're going to have free speech, that you should be able to talk amongst your classmates. You have different minorities, you have races, you have all these people together, and they can't say what they want because, you got 5 people in the classroom with guns, You can't take a test. You got enough anxiety concerning that. You got a kid to your left with a gun. That's not concerning to you. Your 18-year-old daughter in her dorm, they could walk in. You can walk into a dorm with a gun. You think that's okay? You want your 18-year-old daughter exposed to that?
Let me ask you a question, Andrew. Before they passed this law, do you think that bad people were not going to go walk into a room with a gun? Do you think that bad people were not going to have guns on campus because, there's a sign there? Do you think that was what was keeping? Or do you think that it was just as likely that a bad person is going to go assault somebody on campus before this law was passed?
How many college shootings have we had? This law is not going to have any impact. It's just going to put fear into people.
Let me ask you a question. What makes crossing the street and standing on a college campus different? The same people are on the other side of the street, the same mix of races, the same mix of backgrounds, the same willingness to have discussions, the same free speech is on that side of the street, and we have guns there. Why should we not? What's different about being on a college campus? Nothing's changed. You're just on a different side of the street.
Because, first of all, you have to be at least 21 to carry. You have 18-year-olds on that campus. You have freshmen, kids that are straight out of high school that are immature, that can't, they're drunk, they can't handle this and that. You think those kids that are so fragile and are trying to find themselves to be exposed to the gun culture?
All right, let me ask you a question. This has been law for at least a decade in several states. There's not been an issue anywhere with this. I'm scratching my head thinking, well, do you think people in Texas are worse? I mean, and I can hear your anxiety. I can hear the fear in your voice, and it makes you worry. It makes you nervous. And I'm just going to tell you, I don't think that's a them problem. I think that's a you problem. And I think maybe you might want to look into that and figure out, why is Andrew so frightened about this? What scares you about this? Have you never been around good people with guns? I don't know, but I think maybe a little introspection may be due here. 866-TALK-GUN.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
All righty, rounding third and heading towards home. We have a half an hour to talk about, well, pretty much anything you want to talk about. If you have a range report, something you've been shooting, something you took out to the range, optic, ammo, gun, I don't care. Let me know what you've been taking out there. If you invited somebody to go shooting with you, I'd love to get that report. How did that go? 866-TALK-GUN. And, of course, if you're thinking about, should I be buying guns for the election? Should I sell guns? Should I buy guns? Yeah, let's talk about it. What are you doing? I've actually done a little bit of buying myself. We'll talk about that. First off, line 4, Dennis is with us in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Dennis, you got a range report for us.
Yes, I do, Tom, because you kind of enabled me, and I actually dropped my gun off at Magnaport, Smith & Wesson Model 29, 8 3/8 barrel, and I got it back, and I finally shot it, and worth every penny, Tom. The Magnaport is fantastic.
It is.
The Kellys were very nice. Got to see some nice things there. It was kind of a gun
good family. It the 44 Magnum revolver really benefits from Magnaport. What they do is they use electro-discharge machining, EDM, and they cut slots up on either side of the front sight so that jets of gas shoot upward when you fire it and force the barrel down, and it keeps you right on target. And it's not like a difference in recoil, is it? But you really get a huge difference in muzzle rise. Is that what you experienced?
Yes, Tom, I did. And There was definitely a perceived recoil difference, too, because I shot some heavy loads, and they're more tolerable, and I shot the load that I shot the last time before it was ported. And, Tom, I shot some semi-jacketed 200-grain hollow point 44 special ammo, and I thought it was a squib, and then I just started to laugh.
Well, that's just going to make that gun so much more comfortable to shoot. You know what's going to happen now, don't you? Now you're going to spend money on ammo because you're going to shoot that revolver a bunch more.
Yeah, Tom, and after experiencing this, I'm afraid there's going to be a 10-millimeter barrel and slide heading back to Magdaport for some more fun.
Well, excellent. Des, I appreciate that report. I hunted with a Magdaported 629 one time. I think it was a 6-inch barrel. It didn't have the long barrel like Dennis. And man, the difference is huge. The Magdaporting really makes a monstrous difference. Let's see. Line 2, JC's traveling right now, going down the road. JC, thank you for calling.
Hi, Tom. I'm just calling. A while back, I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and she looked at me and goes, all the stuff in the election, she goes, should we be buying more stuff? And obviously, my answer is yes, but she wants to, I was kind of looking for your opinion on what else to get. I'm kind of a gun culture 2.0 kind of guy, so I've got a little bit of everything, but if you're going to add a second of something, I didn't live through 93 and 94, and I was curious about, do you buy another AR, or do you look for something else, or just stock up on magazines? I just don't want to get burned after elections either way.
Right. No, I understand. Do you have any suppressors?
I don't have one of those yet. I looked into that. I just wasn't sure, looking over the horizon, whether the suppressors and those kinds of items would be more of a concern, or if the actual firearms themselves would be, looking over the horizon, kind of what we see in the past and looking forward.
Sure. I think the thing to understand is that for the Hillary Clinton gun banning crowd, there are no good guns. There are no good accessories. So all of them are equal opportunity targets for them. So just get what you want. There's a monstrous backlog because people are really buying suppressors like crazy. But somebody like Silencer Shop can help you out. They're one of our sponsors. They have a real good program. You can work through a local dealer. There's a lot of ways to go there. But I would get an order in on a suppressor, buy one of those, get the paperwork started. I mean, it could take a year, but so what? After a year, you got it. I've been buying magazines just because. Ammo, certainly. I think I've put in, several thousand rounds of ammo I've purchased. It's kind of one of those, all of those. And whatever you like, that's what I would get. The problem is you can't go crazy and say, I'm going to stock up for the next 100 years. Because nobody has that much, not many people have that much money. I know I don't. So you just kind of say, all right, if I could buy anything right now, what would it be? I would do that. I mean, you don't have to go crazy like I have done and buy AR mags 100 at a time. Yeah, I've done that. But if I would buy some extra mags, but I would probably think in terms of buying another gun just because it's fun. But top of my list right now, I got to tell you, it'd be suppressors. If for no other reason than they really do increase the enjoyment of shooting. Once you get started shooting with suppressors, it's pretty hard to go back. You just kind of fall in love with the whole thing. So I would sure offer that would be a way to go. Look, I appreciate the call. Tell you what, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll take your comments, calls, range reports, and if you have any thoughts on something that you might be wanting to buy in anticipation of what might be coming after the election, we'd love to hear that. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
Shooting your gun is more fun than cleaning your gun, right? Then you want Federal's newest high-tech ammo, American Eagle Syntech. With polymer-coated bullets to eliminate copper and lead fouling, clean burning powders, and the Catalyst lead-free primer, Syntech range ammunition means you clean less, shoot more, and shoot better. No copper jacket also reduces splashback when shooting steel in 9mm, 40, and 45. Visit federalpremium.com and ask your local retailer for Syntech ammo.
A decade since it was first introduced, the Taurus Judge still rules. This isn't just any personal defense revolver. This is an everyday gun. With its decisive stopping power, it's the original 5-shot game changer. Today it's available in more than a dozen models and capable of chambering both 45 Colt and 410 shot shell. You be the judge. Taurus Judge, what legends are made of. Visit TaurusUSA.com.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at ShopGunTalk.com. Get prepared. ShopGunTalk.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
The Ruger American Rifle is a 100% American-made firearm that offers outstanding performance at a great price. Available in standard size and compact models, it features power bedding integral bedding blocks, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, a flush-fit 4-round rotary magazine, and a 3-lug bolt with 70-degree throw. Compact models feature a shorter length of pull and a shorter barrel for a reduction in overall length of more than 5 inches. The Ruger American Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
Back with you. John's on line 4 out of Cabot, Arkansas. Hey, John, what'd you get there?
I just bought a 6.86 Smith & Wesson revolver, and I was getting some advice from different people about break-in, starting out with the 38 and moving up to the 357. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that as far as break-in or if that's even necessary.
There's a service available that will break in your revolver, those real nice ones like the 686. I'll give you my address, and it takes about 4 years to do the break-in period, but I would be happy to take care of that for you.
Okay.
All right, let's get serious. That is a delightful revolver. 357, you can obviously shoot 38 special in it. The really good, happy news is there is no break-in necessary at all. Just shoot it with whatever you want to shoot it. Start it with 38, start it with 357s. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. It just really is that easy.
Well, that makes it simple then. That'll be great. And I will just shoot anything I want through it and know that the gun will work properly and I won't have any issues.
Yeah, I mean, basic gun cleaning, like any revolver, just a teeny tiny drop of oil on the crane in the middle of the cylinder, just, little things like that, cleaning the barrel, especially if you're shooting lead bullets, you'll want to use something that gets the lead out of the bore, but that's no different than what we've had 50 years ago. So, no, that's a great revolver. You will love it. It's just, shoot 38s in it about 90% of the time and Magnums the rest of the time, but you're going to have so much fun.
Very good. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your help, Tom.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. But the offer still goes if you want something broken in, as long as you don't mind not getting it back for a few years. I'll take care of that for you. Line 3, Mark, Milwaukee, Oregon. Hey, Mark, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom, is there any way that we can legally get out of that hideous UN treaty that our dearly beloved president signed? I would really love us to get out of that, but I don't know if there's any legal way or we have any legal recourse.
I don't know. I should have asked. I will try to find out. I mean, obviously, before that were to happen, you would have to have a different president, somebody who says, hey, guys, we're bowing out of this. We're out of here. And we've changed our, I don't know. Since we've signed it, John Kerry signed it. I don't know if you can unsign it. I mean, I guess you could just say, we're not going to do it no matter what you guys say. But it's right now it hasn't been ratified. It's not going to be ratified. But the whole thing is we have signed it. And so what happens is the president can then say, well, we've signed this. Congress has refused to ratify it, but I'm going to go ahead and take steps based on this treaty that we've already signed because we have this radical Congress. And so that's the leverage there. So, but you know what? It all comes back to the same thing. And look, I'm sorry. I wish it were not this way, but you can't elect a Democrat. You can't elect a Democrat at any level. Not president, not Senate, not House. Because and look, there are people I know who are Democrats, who are good people. And I just tell them, look, one guy I went to school with, I'm really sorry. He's running for Congress. I'm really sorry. But you're in the wrong party, because if I vote for you, if you get elected, that helps Charles Schumer. That helps Nancy Pelosi. That helps the people who want to destroy our gun rights. And you may say, well, I'm not, I wouldn't vote for that. But yes, you will. Because they will say, do you want any money coming to your district at all? Then you will join us on this. And you can't hold out. And I used to say, just vote for the person regardless of the party. I wish that were possible. But the reality is, when the Democrats get control of Congress, they decide which bills come up, which ones are going to be voted on, which ones never are brought up. They control who is the chairman of every committee. It goes on and on and on. So you simply we have to have a change in the White House, and we have to have we can't elect Democrats. I hate saying that. I hate that the divide is that way. But the reality is, a Democrat at any level helps the radicals like Charles Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. And it's, there it is. I mean, that's just what you've got. Line 2, Jolene's in Nevada. Jolene, thank you for calling.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So, I want to know, they want to put all these regulations on my gun. I'm a legal gun owner. My husband's a legal gun owner. 99% of our friends are legal gun owners, but they all have different weapons, from handguns to shotguns to rifles to 223s, which we can't get ammo for here. But we don't rob banks. We don't commit mass shootings. We don't do armed robberies. We don't murder people. How is regulating my gun going to stop any of the crime?
Well, that's where we get to what our previous guest was talking about when David Keene was here. He says you have to understand that for the rabidly anti-gun people, this really is not about crime. They talk about that, but that's not what it is. Their whole thing is there must be no guns. If there were no guns, then there would be no crime. So it's not a case of saying that, gee, Jolene, if you'd only get rid of your gun, crime would improve. What they're saying is we simply have to get rid of all of them. Now, what they won't talk about is what does that mean? And make no mistake, this has been their position for 20 plus years, long time, 50 years. 20 years ago, I asked Tom Diaz from the Violence Policy Center. He was on the show, and I said, what do you want? You want to get rid of all guns? He said, oh, no, I don't want to get rid of all guns. Oh, no. I said, sure you do. I said, well, look, let me ask you, if you could be king for a day, if you could have anything you want, what'd you do? He said, well, I'd make all the guns disappear. I said, how about the police? He said, well, once we get rid of the guns, the police won't need any. This is a religion. They are religious fanatics. It is a cult of gun banning. They don't care about crime. All they care about is getting rid of all of them. What would you have to do that? The only way that could be done in the United States would be door-to-door searches of every room, every attic, every basement, every closet, every crawl space, door-to-door. If you're not there, we're kicking the doors. It's the only way it could be accomplished. They don't want you to think about that. They know this is how it would have to be done. They just don't want you to think about that, because it brings up ugly images from the 1930s in Europe, doesn't it? All righty. Keep traveling this week. Let's see, we got Ohio and Michigan on the list. Going up to Ohio, doing some little work with Chris Reno. We're shooting some stuff, video for Gun Venture, one of our TV shows. Working with Smith & Wesson on that one. And then we're going to run up to Michigan, do some gun fitting with Brian Belinsky at Field Sport. By the way, if you are into shotguns, you need to know his name and the website of his store. It's fieldsportltd.com. fieldsportltd.com. Brian is the fellow who first brought sporting clays to the United States from England. They call him Dr. Shotgun. I'm going to go up for a full scale, the whole deal, the gun fitting. Want to get those measurements so I can get those put into a couple of shotguns. Eliminate some alibis. I need all the help I can get. Line 4, Mark is with us out of New Mexico. Hey, Mark, you're on Gun Talk.
Yeah, I've been threatening for a year or so to call you, and I finally said I'd do it. I'm a gunsmith.
Well, good. Okay.
And my brother-in-law, who's now dead, Dale Lane out of Houston, Texas. Probably a lot of people remember his writings and stuff, but it's been a long time ago. But
right.
Anyway, that's beside the point. He's the guy that taught me originally, and I'm up gunner now. I'm starting to push on that 80 mark myself, and I'm still doing gun work here. I do a lot of work for the sheriff's departments and everything else.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of things happen in my life. I still remember yesterday, like it's yesterday, Japan bombing us,
okay, yeah.
And so it's that gives you some idea how long I've been around. And the first thing I ever had was a BB gun.
Okay. Mark, let me jump in here. Let me jump in here because we have about a minute left on this show, so I got to get you to get to the point.
Well, the best thing I can say is, people, wake up. We got to stop this, and we got to stop it now. That's why our forefathers give us guns, and it don't make any difference. Let's pray to God we never had to go to that extent. But something's got to be done here.
Yeah, and I agree with you. What we don't want to do is have to get to a point where we have to use guns. That's because when we get to that point, we've lost. It's over. And so that's why we have to vote. That's why we have to be, and not just vote. We have to speak up. I mean, like, okay, you got 30 days into the election. Every day go talk to somebody about it. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. It's politics. Yeah, it is. It's how the country will end up. That's what politics is. What's going to happen to this country? Oh, well, I don't want to have to defend Donald Trump. Then don't. Just say, we can't have her. We can't have her. She will institute gun bans. She will institute gun bans, one way or another, through the Congress or not. We've seen what can be done with these agencies. What if they just said, we're just going to not fund, we're going to kind of slow things down at the FBI NICS check, and instead of it taking 5 minutes, now it's 5 days? What if they said, well, that whole thing with NFA, Class 3 stuff, we don't really need that many people there. It goes from a year to 5 years. Kind of a slow walking kind of a thing. You got to be involved. You got to get there. In the meantime, I would ask you just keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy your shooting sports. Don't get crazy about it. Don't get paranoid. Don't get yourself down. Take somebody out shooting. Buy a new gun. Buy some more ammo. Get involved in a new sport. Maybe take up IDPA, USPSA action pistol. Or if you're not really much into shotguns, you got to try that. If you do that, go get you a coach. No matter what kind of shooting you're doing, a coach can make a huge difference. A few hours of shooting instruction is worth about 10 years of trying to figure out how to do it yourself. In the meantime, tell people about Gun Talk. Make the commitment. We're down to about 30 days. You better get on board.